especially when there's supposed to be rules.
Yes, it drives me nuts.
All right, let's try that again. So how many electrons does sulfur have? 16. So I'm going to give it a nucleus and then first energy level, 2. And then 8. And then the rest. So 8 here. My glasses are really fogging up today. So I think that gives me 10, right? So I got to put third energy level and I got to put 6 on those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll give it 1 up here. And that would be the Bohr model for sulfur. Not a real neat Bohr model, but it is a Bohr model. Alrighty, if you will get your notes out that we've been working on, we're gonna do a little bit on those. Learn how to do average atomic mass.
Today was the day, man.
Is today what? Today is, yeah, last day. Last day of September. Start Halloween tomorrow, Halloween month.
Halloween.
I don't know how to read.
No, it starts Halloween month.
No.
I just please.
All right, we were at the very bottom of that page where we had drawn the Bohr models. So we're going to talk about atomic mass, and then we'll get to molar mass by Friday. Y'all have a quiz on Friday. It'll be over what we covered through tomorrow, and it will be an open notes quiz. I probably won't do any of the history. I'll save that for the test. So it'll mainly just be the things that we've done, like drawing the Bohr model or saying how many protons, neutrons, electrons are, those types of things. What we're doing today, and then tomorrow we'll do counting atoms.
You said it's open notes?
Yeah, I'll let them be open notes. So the mass of atoms is extremely small. You can see a fluorine is 10 to the negative 23rd if I measure it in grams. So it's kind of unrealistic or impractical to use that when we're talking about different calculations. So scientists came up with another unit of measurement that can be used whenever we're talking about atoms and the elements and compounds. And all of that is relative to carbon-12. So carbon-12 is the standard and everything else is assigned relative to that. So the relative atomic mass, and it's measured in the unit, is AMU. Because remember, your numbers in chemistry, you have to have units with them. Atomic mass unit. And 1 AMU is exactly 1/12 the mass of a carbon-12 atom. We talked the last few days about the fact that a proton and neutron have about the same mass, and they're much, much larger than an electron. So when we talk about the atomic mass, we talk about the mass of one atom of an element, which is very, very hard to just isolate one atom. So usually we deal in other things that kind of group a bunch of atoms together. So atomic mass is kind of a general term, and there are other definitions that apply to atomic mass. They're not on the right, they're below. So we use atomic mass as a general term, and then these are more specific. So these are types of atomic mass. So if you talk about molecular mass, that's a mass of one molecule, and a molecule is a covalent compound. A covalent compound are two or more nonmetals. No, I don't think so. No, in that big box, there's gonna be a formula. 2 or more non-metal. Where you were on our notes that we've been working on. And we're gonna have a quiz on Friday. It'll be what we covered through tomorrow, and it will be open notes. Ionic mass is a mass of one ion. And then if we're talking about formula mass, that's a mass of one formula unit, which is used when we're talking about ionic compounds, which is a metal plus a non-metal. So right now we're kind of just using the general terminology, atomic mass. As we move throughout the year, we'll use these more specific terms of atomic mass. So today we're going to look at the average atomic mass and see how that's calculated, and that's what you find on the periodic table. On mine, it's the numbers in red. So average atomic mass is the weighted average of all the masses of all the isotope. And by a weighted average, we mean it takes into account both the mass and the abundance. So if one isotope is present, let's say 95% of the time, it's going to weigh more into that average. So it's not just a basic average like where you take a bunch of numbers and divide by how many numbers. And this is a value that's listed on the periodic table. And always round to 2 places past the decimal. So when we get our answers, let's say, for example, it was 13.1 or 0.22. You want all your answers to be 2 places past the decimal. That's what we mean by here. And the unit form, and you'll see this as we work some problems, is AMU. So this is what goes into the box. The formula, average atomic mass is equal to, this little funny E means the summation of the percent of each isotope times its atomic mass. And I would continue doing that process. I'm just going to put a plus and some dot signs for each isotope that I have. And it'll make more sense. We're going to do several problems. Yes, put that in the box. And then you divide by 100. So if I have 2 isotopes, it's not going to be that much work mathematically than if I happen to have 6 isotopes. I don't think we do it with 6, but. Did you grab a paper one for me? Definitely a calculator day today. All right, we good? So let's look at some examples because it makes more sense once you do them, that the definition or the formula looks really bad. Okay, so I have 3 isotopes. Remember, isotopes are the same element, but they have a different number of neutrons. So magnesium has 3 isotopes, magnesium 24, magnesium 25, and magnesium 26. This is the mass for each one, and this is the percent abundance. So all this information goes with that particular isotope. These are the mass numbers. I don't use the mass number in the calculation unless that's all that I have. And we're going to do a couple of each. So only use the mass number if no atomic number. I'm sorry, not atomic number, atomic mass. So in other words, for these isotopes, I have their atomic mass. I want to use that number. That's a better number to use than just the mass number. All right, so I'm going to have to set up those little parentheses 3 times. So I'm going to go with my first isotope. I'm going to take its percent abundance, which is 78.99, and multiply it by its atomic mass. So that would be 23.99. And then I'm going to close that parenthesis. So I'm through with the first isotope. Now I add that and I do the second isotope. Its percent abundance, which is 10, multiplied by its mass, which is 24.99. All right, through with that isotope. Plus, and then I have one more isotope left. Its percent is 11.01 times its mass, which is 25.99, and close my parentheses. So you'll have that little multiplication setup. You'll have one of those little setups for each isotope. And then you divide all of that by 100. So at this point, you've done all the setup, so now it's just a matter of putting it in your calculator. And you have to put those parentheses when you put it in your calculator. If not, it messes up the order of operation. And
so we just put the whole column and then we divide like.
So I would do parentheses 78.99 times 23.99, and then close that. Add it, and then you're going to do your next parentheses. And then plus, and then I'm going to come down to do my last. Times 25.99. Get yourself an answer for that whole top. And divide it by 100. Yeah. And what'd you get?
So you do the top, and then the answer for that is what you divide by 100?
Yes, ma'am. 24.1. Because we're doing 2 places past the decimal. What you got? 2 places past the decimal. So what do we have? 24 point.
You do the first line, the top line, and then the answer to that is what you divide by 100. Is that what you did? And then you're gonna move the decimal 2 places.
No, you don't have to move the decimal. Just when you get your
You're
answer,
gonna give
do
2
your
decimals
number and then 2 places behind the
behind
decimal.
the decimal.
Is it 2.1 point?
Yes, 0.31, 24.31.
Got it. Hard.
Okay, well, we'll try some more. Tyreek, don't forget to divide. If you got 2,431, you just forgot to divide by 100. Okay? So this goes in your calculator. Give yourself some parentheses. This number times this number, and then close your parentheses. Plus, and then the same thing. Plus, and then once you get everything on the top, go ahead and hit enter, because you'll get an answer, and then come back and divide that by 100. Because sometimes these calculators, if you don't get an answer at the top and then come and divide by 100, it messes it up. All right, so let's look at the worksheet and let's do some examples off of that. We'll do a few more examples, so it'll be a little bit. All right. Let me get out of here.
I don't even get it.
You do or don't?
I don't.
Well, let's do some more examples.
Keep following along, this is, you'll get it. Don't shut down now, don't shut down now. Come on.
talking, it's a good classroom.
I might have just dropped.
Oh.
Oh, man. I hate going
No, no, is this piece of paper up there?
Is it there?
Hurry, get your. Yeah, no,
I wanna keep getting.
there.
I'm just doing this so I can see it.
Divide that by 100. So you did the
No, especially like this, it's hard to do Cami with these things.
Divide it to by 100.
Oh, so I don't put like divide by 100.
No, you give your answer for the top line, then you divide that answer by 100. Right? Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
For some, if you don't do that, for some reason, the calculator like
Kind of
It's-
freaks out.
yeah, it doesn't understand the order of operation or something. All right, so let's look at number 1. It says, what's the atomic mass of hafnium if 5% have a mass of 176? So those numbers go together. 19% have a mass of 177. So those two numbers go together. So 27 have a mass of 178. And I kind of wrote over this. 14 have a mass of 175. Oh, there's a lot of isotopes on this one, right? So see how this one's going to be a lot longer? There's more isotopes here. So for each percent, it's going to represent an isotope. I'm going to have to erase all that so I can actually
So we
see.
do 5 times 176.
Yes, 100 will get you started. So here's my first one, 5, the percent times its mass. So I'm going to set up that 5 times 176 plus, and then I go to my next one, 19 times 177.
You're doing the calculator?
Well, yeah, after you write it all out.
No.
My next one, 27, yep, times, 14 times 179, and 35 times 180, right?
100.
Yep. But Tyreek, make sure you put all of that in first at the top and hit enter. Get yourself an answer before you divide by 100, okay?
Yeah.
So like I said, it's not that it's really that hard. It's just kind of,
That's just a lot of
It's
numbers to
easy.
put in.
yeah, that, then trying to stay organized.
You got it now?
Does it button?
Oh, you said you didn't get it earlier and you started shutting down.
No, I didn't click to that. And never again.
Okay, but you, that can't be that can't be right.
And I got you.
Because I want you to think about that.
No, no, the button.
It's gonna be like 120.79.
Because I want you to think about it. It's supposed to be a weighted average of 176, 177, 178. Does that number make sense? Is that any kind of average of those numbers? That big huge number that you chose?
There's only one for the numbers. I don't have it.
How do you take an average? If we took a regular average, we would take, like if we wanted an average of our ages, we would take all of our ages and divide it by how many students.
It sounded like it was close.
By the most.
You getting it ready?
To get an average. What I'm saying is sometimes you have to look at your number, you
So
put
you
something in your
understand how we do
calculator
this?
wrong.
Yes.
Miss Laura,
What'd you get?
178.35.
But did you divide by, yep, one, that's perfect, perfect. I'll come and look, Kevin, and see what we did. This is your answer, 178.55. And remember your units are AMU, you got it?
I divided by 100, sorry.
I can't tell what you did. Yeah, somewhere you got off, but I can't, it's hard for me to tell because 19 times 177, I don't know how to make it go forward. Did you do all of these, or did you, all I see is up through 19 times 177. Did you do the rest of them?
drew all of this and divided by 100.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
Did you figure it out?
I know what I put wrong. I forgot to put
Somewhere you
not
put
sign.
something
I did.
wrong. Oh, and then it's a multiple time, so that's why you got such a big number. Somewhere you put it in there wrong. I don't know.
I put all the numbers right. I just forgot to put the plus.
Plus. So what I was trying to tell Kevin, you know, if you got some huge number, if you got 50,000, you needed to come back and look at these. Does 50,000 make any sense if I'm trying to get the average of 176, 177, 178, 179, and 180? Does some huge number like 50,000 make any sense? No. Even though it's a weighted average, it still should fall within those numbers. You want to try to put it in there, put it in your calculator again? I'll have, wait, well, and we'll do another, we do another. If you feel good with it, move on and do some. I'm gonna do a couple more. Look, Tyreek, just use these numbers, those little small numbers. So it'd be 127 times 80, and then 126. Yeah, yes. The little small numbers, since that's what you're given. Those are mass numbers, they're just written differently. Anthony, put your phone up.
It's 203.
On the second one?
161.
On the second one?
The first one.
The first one should be 178.55.
Yes, sir. For real. No.
Rainy, you good? You remember doing this?
Also, what are they wrong?
Well, it's hard for me to see. Let's see.
Okay, just see.
Okay, then I need to watch you put it in the calculator. Show me here. I don't know how do I keep on seeing what you did?
You got that one wrong?
Like, how do I keep on seeing here what you did?
Oh, let me see on my hack.
Because you have to do it real
You
slow.
gotta go up.
I have to top it.
Okay,
So I
enter.
forget to open or
Let's see what I did. See? What I did?
You want them to try the next one you said?
Yeah.
I got the answer.
What'd you get?
126.86.
No.
Yep.
Tyree, you're getting this, aren't you? Good job.
Can you put another spot now? Please.
All right, Hazel, let's try the other one. Now, I don't know, did you, what I'm saying, when you do all this top part, you need to hit enter
I do here.
before. Okay, well, let's try the second one together, okay?
No work, no work.
The second one doesn't have as many numbers. The second one, we're only gonna have 3. So remember, these are our mass numbers. So those are what we're gonna use. It's just written a little bit different, okay? Yeah, I think that's what Tyreek, isn't that what you said you got?
What?
178.13?
For a second?
Uh-huh.
126.86.
Oh. Okay, so 0.55.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, let's try our second one. So we're gonna start with here's our 80. So that's gonna be our first one. 80 times the 127. And then our second one is 17 times 126. Those are little bitty numbers. Plus 3 times 128. That's all I need because I only had 3%. So I only have to have 3 setups. Now I'm going to divide that by 100. So that's a little bit less numbers. Try putting that in. Be sure you get yourself an answer at the top before you divide it by 100.
There's 126.86.
That's it.
I give up.
No, that's the right answer. AMU, you got to put AMU after it.
The third one is 197.5.
Yes, sir. That makes perfect sense.
So you,
A, M, U, not U.
not you,
An A, an M, and a U.
All right.
not who,
Move.
not move.
So go ahead and move down to the third one. I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to try that one. Then we'll finish it up together. And then I'm going to set y'all free.
Miss, they can be negative.
No, sir, we will not have any
No,
negative
so
numbers.
you're gonna need to subtract.
No, no negative numbers.
Oh, no, look.
That means just dash. So just use it as 198. It's just like a dash, not a negative. I see what you're saying. I got you.
La vaca no, más quita esto y ya.
So this one I'm just going to have 2, right?
¿Por qué no te dije?
50 times 197, and that's the easy one. 50 times 198, and divide by 100.
Los dos eran.
Put your phone up, please, baby. And then if you'll put it up
I
after
got
that.
197.
No, don't say.
Nope.
Yes.
All right, y'all continue to move on, work on. I think that just leaves y'all a few to do. And I'll
There's
come on.
197.
197.5. Remember, 2 places past the decimal, so be sure and include that part past your decimal. Perfect.
Don't forget your A, M.
And don't forget your AMU. You gotta have AMU on these. All right, then y'all work on the other ones. I'll come around and see if you need help. All right. Ellen, don't forget to do your exit ticket also.